Well, it was a big day in the world of the Southeastern Conference and all the member schools. As you probably saw, it was announced ESPN and the SEC have a new television deal which will include the launch of the SEC Network in August of 2014. And fresh off the plane from Atlanta is our athletic director, Mike Alden, to talk about it here today. And Mike, first of all, this huge announcement, what does it mean for the University of Missouri and for all those Tiger fans?
Well, I tell you, Ben, the move for Mizzou to the SEC, we talked about the fact that this will be transformational for our university and the fact that it would create a much greater national awareness, a national presence for the university, and certainly that has been shown to be true. And now with the announcement of the SEC Network, that's really elevated it exponentially. I mean, now what you're talking about is the amount of exposure for the entire University of Missouri. While it was already at a much higher level by virtue of the fact that we're associated with the SEC now, it's gone up exponentially by the fact that now we're going to be on a national network to be able to really provide Mizzou content and SEC content to literally millions of people throughout the country every single day.
The network will have a national reach, as you mentioned, not only on cable and satellite providers, but a worldwide reach with the accompanying SEC digital network. 1,000 events will be broadcast on those two platforms in the first year. And Mike, this is part of an extension of the agreement between the SEC and ESPN that runs through 2034. That's 20 years from next year. What does that kind of long-term commitment mean for the schools of the SEC?
Well, I certainly think it. John Skipper, who's the president of ESPN, was there with us today in Atlanta, and he talked about the fact that going through 2034, Ben, that's the longest contract in all of sport. You know, so I think that certainly that signifies that the strength of ESPN and the strength of the SEC combined showcases the fact that this is an unprecedented agreement. It's something that's going to be able to really expand for decades to be able to come. I think it signifies the strength of the league. It signifies the strength of the partnership with ESPN. And I also think that what it says is Justin Conley, who is the head of the SEC Network, he talked today about the fact that you're going to be able to get SEC content anytime, anywhere, on any device. And that's an unprecedented statement. And so if you look at that and you talk about the fact that you have an agreement that goes through 2034, that you can get it worldwide, any place, anytime, on any type of device, I certainly think it speaks for itself to say this is probably the strongest agreement by far in all of college sport.
Now, the SEC Network launches in August of 2014, so for the upcoming 2013-2014 athletic year, nothing changes. But whenever we look ahead to August of 2014, what should Tiger fans be doing to try to ensure that they have access to the SEC Network when it launches?
Well, you know, the SEC and ESPN put together a website, you know, getsecnetwork.com. So I repeat that, getsecnetwork.com, which gives all of our fan bases and all those people interested in the SEC Network an opportunity to link to that, to be able to indicate their interest in finding out more about the SEC Network. It's important that we're communicating with our cable carriers, communicating with our satellite providers. The fact that the SEC Network is important to those of us not only in the 11-state region, but for those of us that are connected not only to Mizzou but to the SEC. And so we're encouraging all of our fans and our ticket holders and our alumni and our students and whoever that may be to reach out and to be able to hit, you know, getsecnetwork.com and to be able to communicate. And I think it's not too early to be doing that. You're 16 months out. But the fact of the matter is those 16 months will go very fast, and it's going to be important that as we continue to build the cable providers and continue to build the satellite carriers that folks have an opportunity to connect even now with regards to their interest in the SEC Network.
And that's a little inside baseball there, folks, but the fact of the matter is the SEC and ESPN are going to be negotiating with all of those television providers over the course of the next 16 months, and they're the parties that are going to get those agreements in place so that it's available for all of the fans in August of 2014, right?
That's right. And so, and I mentioned his name, Justin Conley. He has a team of folks that work at the SEC Network, and that'll be building that. And so the importance for them right now is, you know, they've already put together one cable provider, which is AT&T UVersus, which is going to be our first cable carrier, which is several million homes in the country. But that's only the beginning. And as they continue to build the cable carriers that are out there, whether it has to do with Time Warner or Mediacom or Comcast, or whether it has to do with Dish or Direct, that they'll be working with them. But it'll be important as they're working with them for the fans and those people interested in the SEC Network to make sure they communicate that it's important that they want to be able to get the network on their provider and from their provider.
And Mike, one last thing to finish up, but whenever you talk to your coaches and they hear things like 75 baseball games on SEC Network next year and countless other Olympic events and all the different live events that are going to be on these platforms now, what does this increased exposure mean to all of them and the athletes?
You know, for us in our league, Ben, frankly, it's unprecedented in college sport. The opportunities, particularly for our Olympic sports, there is no other league in the country, for any university in the country, that has the opportunities to be able to provide this type of exposure for their student athletes and their Olympic sport programs in particular that can match what they're doing with the SEC network. Nobody. And so I think that as you look at that, if I'm the gymnastics coach at Mizzou, or I'm the softball coach at Mizzou, or I'm the swimming and diving coach at Mizzou, the fact of the matter is your opportunity to be able to promote our institution, promote our programs, to promote the experiences that a student athlete has at the University of Missouri in the SEC is unlike anyone else in the country will have. And so it gives us a chance to really maximize that, to promote the university, to promote what it's like to be a student at Mizzou, and certainly to promote our programs, in particular our Olympic sport programs.
Mike, thank you so much for your time. It's very exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is. And Commissioner Slive talked about this today, Ben. It's the golden age of the SEC, is what he talked about. And you know, we're so fortunate to be associated with that. I know our Mizzou fans are excited about it. I know that all the fans in the SEC, as well as around the country, are excited to know that the SEC and ESPN have joined together, and it's a tremendous time and tremendous opportunities for our university, not only today, but frankly for years to come.
If you folks have any more questions, please don't hesitate to hit us on Twitter at Mizzou Network or at MUTigers.com. You can also visit MUTigers.com and SECDigitalNetwork.com right now for more information. And of course, as Mike mentioned, go to GetSECNetwork.com right now to let your cable or television provider know that you want the SEC Network.